Hello from Kingfisher, Oklahoma. Today we're going to look at 4 things from Joshua 11 and 12. First, a big set of defeats has happened in the land that will become the promised land, or is the promised land that will become Israel. And more kings decide to gather together to fight against Israel. And they bring more people than you can count. It's just a massive army. And God says, doesn't matter, we're going to win this one. And so he sets Israel to get ready to do these fights. Now, if you remember, there's going to be a little part in here. It seems like kind of a random verse, but Israel is supposed to offer peace to these nations, a peaceable surrender. And if they say yes, then fine, Israel will take it. But nobody accepts that offer. And so they go and do this fight, which of course Israel wins due to God. Now you remember, Israel is very numbered, around 2.5 million people. But these are more people than you could count. So goodness, the odds are not for them, except that God is going to do the victory. And the same is in your life. There's things that are insurmountable in your life. And you're going to have to let God win it for you. 3, they also destroy Anakim. Now, whenever you see the sons of Anak or Anakim, there's also a few other names like Rephaim, Zamzummim. These all mean giants. And I got to tell you, friends, these are literal giants. These are huge people that are, the descendants of one of these is Goliath of Gath, who was 9 feet 9 inches tall. So these are giants, and there's no reason not to believe that every single word in this Bible is exactly as it ought to be understood exactly as how it should be. It's there, it's on purpose. It's building this picture that even if there are all these things happening, God is still going to be victorious, and he is. And then we see in chapter 12, we just kind of get a remembrance, a reminder of all these kings. First, that Moses defeated on the east side of the Jordan, and now on the west side of the Jordan, which ones Joshua defeats. So, let's jump to it. Chapter 11. And it came to pass when Jabin, king of Hazor, heard these things, that he sent to Jobab, king of Mardon, the king of Shimron, and to the king of Akshaph, and to the kings that were on the north of the mountains, the plains of Chinnereth, and in the valley, and in the borders of Dor on the west, and to the Canaanite on the east and on the west, and to the Amorite, and to the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Jebusite in the mountains, and to the Hivite under Hermon in the land of Mizpah. And they went out, they and all their hosts that are with them, much people, even as the sand is upon the seashore, in multitude, with horses and chariots, very many. And these all the kings were met together. They came and pitched together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. And the Lord said unto Joshua, Be not afraid of them, for tomorrow at about this time I will deliver them all up slain before Israel. Thou shalt hawk their horses and burn their chariots with fire. So Joshua came and all the people of war with him against the waters of Merom suddenly, and they fell upon them. Now to hawk the horse is to hamstring them so that they're no good. They can't be used against them anymore. And the Lord delivered them into the hand of Israel, who smote them and chased them unto great Zidon, unto Mizrephoth-maim, and unto the valley of Mizpah eastward. And they smote them until they left none of them remaining. And Joshua did unto them as the Lord bade. He hawked their horses and burnt their chariots with fire. And Joshua at that time turned back and took Hazor and smote the king thereof with the sword. For Hazor beforetime was the head of all those kingdoms. And they smote all the souls that were therein with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them. There were not any left to breathe, and he burnt Hazor with fire. And all the cities of those kings, and all the kings of them, Joshua did take, and smote them with the edge of the sword. And he utterly destroyed them, as Moses the servant of the Lord commanded. But as for the cities that stood still in their strength, Israel burned none of them, save Hazor only. That did Joshua burn. And all the spoil of these cities, and all the cattle, and all the children of Israel took a prey unto themselves. But every man they smote with the edge of the sword, until they had destroyed them. Neither left they any to breathe. As the Lord commanded Moses his servant, so Moses commanded Joshua, and so did Joshua. He left nothing undone of all the Lord had commanded Moses. So Joshua took all the land, the hills, and all the south country, all the land of Goshen, and the valley of the plain, and the mountain of Israel, and the valley of the same, even from the Mount Halak that goeth up to Seir, and unto Baalgad in the valley of Lebanon under Mount Hermon. And all their kings he took, and smote them, and slew them. Joshua made war a long time with all those kings. There was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel, save the Hivites and the inhabitants of Gibeon. Remember, we read that yesterday. They kind of tricked them into peace. For it was of the Lord to harden their hearts, that they should not come against Israel, so that they should come against Israel in battle, that he might destroy them utterly, and that they might have no favor, but that he might destroy them, as the Lord commanded Moses. And at that time came Joshua, and cut off the Anakim from the mountains, from Hebron to Debir, from Anab, and from all the mountains of Judah, and from all the mountains of Israel. Joshua destroyed them utterly with their cities. There were none of the Anakim left in the land of the children of Israel. Only in Gaza, in Gath, and in Ashdod they remained. So Joshua took the whole land according to all the Lord had said unto Moses, and Joshua gave it for an inheritance to Israel, according to their divisions, by their tribes, and the land rested from war. So they did it. They did what they'd been looking forward to. Chapter 12. Now these are the kings of the land, which the children of Israel smote, and possessed their land on the other side of the Jordan, towards the rising sun, from the river Arnon unto the Mount Hermon, and all the plain in the east. Sihon king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon, and ruled from Eror, which was the bank of the river Arnon, and from the middle of the river, and from half Gilead, even unto the river Jabbok, was on the border of the children of Ammon, and from the plain of the sea of Chinnereth on the east, unto the sea of the plain, even the salt sea on the east. So when it says salt sea, that means the Dead Sea. The way to Beth Jeshimoth, and from the south under Ashdoth Pisgah, and from the coast of Og, king of Bashan, was this remnant of the giants that dwelt in Ashtaroth and Edrei, and reigned in Mount Hermon, and into Salcah, and unto Bashan, and all the border of the Geshurites, and the Maccathites, and half of Gilead, the border of Sihon, king of Heshbon. Them did Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the children of Israel smite. And Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave it to possession for the Reubenites, the Gadites, and half tribe of Manasseh. That's all that happened on the east side of the Jordan. Now, these are the kings of the country which Joshua and the children smote on the side of the Jordan on the west, from Baalgad in the valley of Lebanon unto the Mount Halak that goeth to Mount Seir, which Joshua gave according to the tribes for a possession, according to their divisions, in the mountains, in the valleys, in the plains, in the springs, in the wilderness, and in the south country, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites. The king of Jericho, 1. The king of Ai, which is beside Bethel, 1. The king of Jerusalem, 1. The king of Hebron, 1. The king of Jarmuth, 1. The king of Lachish, 1. The king of Eglon, 1. The king of Gezer, 1. The king of Debir, 1. The king of Geder, 1. The king of Hormah, 1. The king of Arad, 1. The king of Libnah, 1. The king of Adullam, 1. The king of Makkedah, 1. The king of Bethel, 1. The king of Tappuah, 1. The king of Hepher, 1. The king of Aphek, 1. The king of Lasron, 1. The king of Madon, 1. The king of Hazor, 1. The king of Shimron Meron, 1. The king of Akshaph, 1. The king of Tanakh, 1. The king of Megiddo, 1. The king of Kadesh, 1. The king of Jokneam of Carmel, 1. The king of Dor on the coast of Dor, 1. The king of the nations of Gilgal, 1. The king of Tirzah, 1. All the kings, 31. So Joshua destroyed 31 kings and took over all their places just like he's supposed to. A couple of notables there. Mount Carmel you saw there. Megiddo, which is a plain. The plains of Megiddo. That's where Armageddon is supposed to take place. So the whole point is they're defeated just as God promised. And now Israel is ready to rest from war Let's see how they do. Catch you next time.